Okay, let's start. So welcome to all. This webinar organized by the Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network Italy. It wants to create a space for report what happened on during the Glasgow COP26, especially regarding food and agriculture. And we have with us Francesca Casale from Politecnico Milano, and Herwig, policy officer of EU, that followed most of the negotiation, also related to Koronivia and agriculture. And so this is like an appointment that the Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network of Italy wants to give us to the whole network in order to update on the very news that have come from this last UNFCCC negotiation on agriculture. So I will not spend so much words about this meeting. I will give the floor directly to the first speaker's plan, that is Francesca Casale from Politecnico Milan. And so Francesca, if you want to introduce yourself and also go into your presentation.
Yes, thank you, Domenico. And I begin with my presentation. Okay, here. Okay, wait. Okay, can you see it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, I am Francesca Casale, and I am a PhD student of Politecnico di Milano. I'm studying the effects of climate change on hydrology and for some aspects on agriculture. And I participated to the COP26 with the Italian NGO Italian Climate Network, and this was my fourth COP. And so I introduced some aspects about the Koronivia joint work on agriculture and the UNFCCC negotiation, and some aspects about agriculture related to the negotiation. And you can find some things written on the slide. So to begin, the Koronivia joint work on agriculture is the unique program under UNFCCC that is focused on agriculture and food system in general. Parties during the history of COPs recognized the importance of agriculture in terms of mitigation and adaptation to climate change. But the Koronivia joint work is the first program specifically about agriculture. We know, for example, that agriculture and generally practices related to land use causes the 25% of the greenhouse gases emissions. And in particular about methane, the agriculture is responsible of the 40% of emissions, of the global emissions. But agriculture is one of the more problematic fields in terms of impacts of climate change. Indeed, agriculture absorbs the 26% of economic losses related to climate disasters, so extreme events of rain, for example, or a strong period of droughts. And so agriculture is important for mitigation to reduce the greenhouse gases emissions, but it's important to adapt agriculture to effects of climate change. So the work of negotiation on agriculture is important because there is the need to introduce the agriculture in the Paris Agreement, and in particular in terms of mitigation and adaptation in the national determined contribution and in the national adaptation plans. Moreover, the agriculture and action on agriculture are important for the achievement of SDG. So the Koronivia joint work works on different topics to introduce agriculture inside and to include agriculture inside the plans for the mitigation and adaptation to climate change. So Koronivia joint work on agriculture was adopted during the COP23 in Bonn. So between the since the COP23, so between the 2017 and 2021, the subsidiary bodies of the UNFCCC, so the SABSTA about the technology and the SB for implementation, worked on the Koronivia joint work. And they organized different workshops and meetings with experts about different thematics. And we can see here these 6 points that were the starting elements and the elements of work during these years. So the first part regards the implementation, the modalities for implementation of the outcomes of the Koronivia joint work. And then there are 5 topics that are studied and during these years in the Koronivia joint work, and they are related to the adaptation of agriculture on the soil system, the use of nutrients, on the management of livestock system, and some aspects related to food security and the socioeconomic dimension. We can see here another one workshop related to the Koronivia joint work, and it was about the integrated management of land and water for agriculture, and then some strategies and modalities for the implementation of best practices of resilient agriculture, basing on the features of the territory and the features of the country. So this is another thematic introduced by the Koronivia joint work that was included during these years. So during the COP26, we have the opening ceremony, where we have a speaks of the farmers' constituency, so the group of the observers that are farmers. And they highlight two aspects. One related to the climate finance, where we can say that only the 15% is allocated to agriculture. And then another one aspect related to the agenda, because food system is not included in the agenda like other thematic, more important, not more important, but that are more used in the agenda of the COP. So about the Koronivia, there were different informal consultations and informal consultation during the first week of the COP26. And delegates and parties highlighted the importance of the agriculture in terms of mitigation too. And other aspects are related to the need for a transition towards a more sustainable and more climate resilient food system and agriculture system, considering the vulnerability of this system that is the agriculture. And so we have here different aspects that are treated during the discussion at COP26. For example, the soil and nutrient management, the livestock system, and some aspects related to the need of support and resources, and also economic and technological resources to reach agricultural system that could be resilient to climate and sustainable. So in the conclusion of the subsidiary bodies the UNFCCC, we can see that they welcomed, so parties welcomed the reports of the four workshop of the Koronivia joint work, and then they recognize the importance of resources for the implementation of action related to the agriculture at the local, but also at the national and international level. And then the importance of implementation of the conclusion of the Koronivia joint work. So the Koronivia Road Map ended during the COP26. In reality, the text remained heavily bracketed. So parties disagreed with a lot of parts of the text, of the decision text of the Koronivia. So they decided to continue the discussion about the Koronivia joint work during the intermediate session in June 2022, and during the COP27 to have a final text for the adoption of the Koronivia joint work in COP27. So during the closing plenary, again, we have a speech of the farmers, but there is an important reference in the text related to agroecology. So this is agroecology is a kind of agricultural system, of agriculture practice, and it's important because it's introduced in the text. We have to discuss again about this part of the text, but the reference itself is important. During the COP26, we have also a lot of pledges and initiative introduced by the countries. These pledges are voluntary, so it's not related to the Paris Agreement, but they are important because countries decided to subscribe these pledges. One is the Global Methane Pledge, where the goal is to reduce the emissions of methane of the 30% by 2030. It's more focused on the energy sector, but agriculture is important in terms of methane emissions. So probably countries have to act on the agriculture to reduce methane emissions. But two important pledges related more specifically to agriculture is the Agriculture and Innovation Mission for Climate, related to some research and some research activity and action to have an agricultural more climate smart and to innovate the food system. And then we have the policy action agenda for a just transition to sustainable food and agriculture. And this is a pledge to reach, to have a just transition, to reach a net zero emission agriculture, focusing on natural ecosystem and biodiversity. And focusing in particular on the local context and on the local need and local communities. So speaking in the end about agroecology, it's important because in this kind of a system, of food production system, we have a relationship between humans, so farmers, and the environment, and also with plants and animals. But this relationship is balanced. So it's important because in the agriculture, we give importance to the ecosystem and the two ecosystem services. So agroecology is highlighted that is useful to provide sufficient food for in a world where population is growing. And it's the particularity of agroecology is that the base is to limit the use of resources that are not renewable. for example, energy, but also soil, and also ecosystems could be sometimes non-renewable resources. So it's important because agroecology focused on this kind of recycle and limitation of resources that are limited. We can highlight the importance of agroecology in mitigation and adaptation to climate change, and then in its importance in the linkages between the farmers, the agricultural system, and the wildlife, and some ecosystem service that animals could give, for example, the pollination or the controlling of pests. Another important thing is that farmers are considered the drivers of this new kind of agricultural system. So they are farmers that decide and act at the local level on their land. During the COP, here we have some elements specifically for the agroecology. So we can see the diversity, so related to biodiversity. Again, the synergies between the humans, but also the environment, the plants and the animals, and the recycling, we have said, and also the importance of the social values and of the local values and the local food system and so on. And again, the importance of the governance and of the economic resources given by the governments. Here we have some SDG related to agroecology and to the agricultural system, as we have seen at the beginning. For example, the SDG for zero hunger, so for food security, the SDG for the climate change, for example, for energy, for water, and for land, and so on. So some SDG related to the agricultural system. And to end, during the COP26, there were a lot of side events about this agroecology, side events of the UNFCCC, but also of FAO or different organizations for agriculture and food system. And we have 4 points that are highlighted during these events. So the importance of agroecology to have a more climate resilient food system, the importance of land right. So the governments have needs to give the land rights to local farmers. So local farmers can invest in their lands and can invest in this kind of agroecology. And then also the need of support in terms of financial support also from the governments and from developed countries governments, and a support in terms of technology. So for technology from developed countries to developing countries. And the last thing is the importance of integration of rights of women, youth, and indigenous people in this thematic related to agroecology, because sometimes our women, are youth people, and are indigenous people that works as farmers on the lands. So it's important to integrate these rights and also land right in the agricultural and food system. Okay, thank you. I finished.
Thank you very much, Francesca, for your presentation. We have few time for middle questions regarding the presentation of Francesca before going to the next speaker. I don't know if there are. if there are no questions, maybe we can collect at the very end, and I will give the floor now to Herwig Runner. Hi, Herwig.
Hello, maybe turn on my camera so you can see me.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you for the invitation. It was a bit ad hoc because I know Domenico from Italy, because we play music together actually. Of course, it was my pleasure to join you here. And I'm one of the people that negotiate the agriculture topic, so the Koronivia joint work for the EU in my case. Is there anything specific that I should start with, like what we think about the outcome?
Yeah, maybe you can like brief a little bit on the outcomes of yeah.
Okay, so because we had a very good introduction now with the presentation we just saw, and as it was put on one of the last slides, we did not manage to do what we were supposed to do. So normally we should have finished with the reporting back to the COP at COP26, but we had some really difficult discussions which took a lot of time, and that's why in the end we finished only with the conclusions of the last 3 workshops, and we did not finish the conclusions on the additional workshop that was proposed by New Zealand and by Ireland. But we have already draft text there, and we will start to do that at the next session in Bonn. It was still quite a positive outcome because the text that you might have seen already that was agreed on contains quite a lot of, well, mentions issues that are very important. You also have animal health in there. You have the importance of the reduction of emissions, but also the vulnerabilities of smallholder farmers. It's balanced, and it would be a good basis for the reporting back that we still have to do. And for the EU, we see this reporting back as an opportunity to say at a very high UN level, what is the most important for us when it comes to climate action in agriculture? What you need to consider, what needs to be done, how people can do what needs to be done. And this can serve as a reference for any other players that would be the donors or that would be part of the conference because they are sitting in the boards of the different constituted bodies. So that's a bit how we see it. What we also see is that lots of people have very high ambitions when they look at our discussions on the Koronivia. And what we all have to keep in mind is this is a conference where people agree on text. And just because we agree on a text doesn't mean that climate action starts in agriculture in the different countries. It does not mean that we stop the bad effects of climate change on farmers anywhere in the world with just a stroke of a pen. We all depend on people on the ground that will then implement what has been decided. That includes national administrations, regional administrations, the farmers that are concerned. There's a lot of people that need to work together to bring something positive out of the agreement. And lately, at least my impression was that people tend to forget that there's also this stage that we have to go through. So first step is to agree on something with all the parties involved, but then it's also about how you make it happen. And that's not only by saying we have a subsidiary body for implementation that will help us to get better access to funds under the GCF, because that will not do it. And as you know, the GCF is limited. There's a lot of money out there that is not under the remit of the UNFCCC. There's a lot of donors that still look at what we produce under the UNFCCC. Amongst others, the World Bank and other regional development banks, but also private institutions. Yeah, So that's a bit what we take away from this session. So we would have liked to do more, but that was not possible. So we will continue at the next session, and we make sure that we have something at the next COP. And I hope all parties think like that.
Thank you very much, Herwig, and thank you. I think that you did the best. I think that the process will continue in the best way also in the next sessions of the Koronivia. Also, I appreciate your point when you say that it's important to understand that also local actors need to implement what is written on the text of the negotiation. I think that this is probably the mission of today in order to create the bridge between just the words and the local farmers. Actually, Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network is a network of young leaders in farming and local farmers that are working on the field, and it's important to hear your words. So thank you very much for your contribution. I don't know if there are questions on the panel. I thought this was, as you understand, a very informative question, just to report properly what's happened. So
maybe I didn't say anything exciting. Let me think if I can add something. What would be very important also coming from your group of people is that you continue to be involved, that you let people know what it is that you want out of the process. You know, the EU is talking a lot with any kind of NGOs, and I hope that the other parties do it as well. And if this dialogue continues, then this will also influence what we get out of the whole process. So even if you're not always in the room, because observers are not part of all the sessions, be assured that we listen, and there's an influence on what happens, even if it's behind closed doors sometimes.
Thank you very much for your adding. I see Samson want to speak out. Samson, to you.
Good evening, everyone. In Kenya, it is exactly evening. I'm Samson Oluoch from Kenya. I'm very grateful to join this panel and also to join this presentation. That seems so much interesting and so powerful for the purpose of agriculture. One of the things, this is my first time that actually I have joined this, and I've realized that the so-called challenges that are facing agricultural sector in Africa have really been tackled in this great meeting. So one of my questions that I want to raise is that how can I get into this collaboration so that we can work together? Because in Kenya, we have plenty of lands that are not touched. We have the virgin land. We have youths who are just, they don't have work, they don't have things that they are doing. But if we can turn agriculture or else agribusiness to a form of employment, I believe that we are going to employ so many youths, especially in Africa. So I'm interested to join you. I'm interested if we can bring our minds together so that we can collaborate and work towards the goal that you people have set up ahead. That was my question. If how can I join this team so that we cooperate, we collaborate, then we work together, because we have plenty of land, especially in Kenya, where I am coming from, and can be used well in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you, Samson. I will respond to a part of the question regarding the how. actually you can write to the email address that you give to you receive the email by, but I will send also my email also to forward you to Jokan Divine, that is the global coordinator of the Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network. But I will let the response to the Francesca and Herwig regarding the second part, like the role of youth and also the potential on new works on agriculture also in this transition. Maybe if Francesca and Herwig want to add something on this point.
For the okay, but I think that for example, for what concern the negotiation, as as a youth, we can do something because, as we have said, we are observer, but we can influence our delegates and help propose some ideas or something if we have some ideas for the text or something like this. And so, for example, it's important because sometimes observer act on the ground, so they know what are the condition and the necessity, the needs of the population, and so it could be useful also for delegates to know other aspects that more related to youth and to young people. And on the other side, especially I could say also in Italy, there are a lot of young people that work in this sector of agriculture. And sometimes they use really some innovative systems and innovative action in terms of agriculture. So sometimes young people could improve the agricultural system because they use innovative system. And I think that it's in Italy, it could be like this, and the young people can invest in agriculture and in innovative system. But I think that it could be the same thing also in other countries, and for example in Africa, like here. I think that it's the same thing. And sometimes young people are more resilient and more innovative than in comparison to other people. So I think that young people could do something in this term.
Thank you, Francesca.
I don't have that much to add, but to point out that there's some action between the EU and the African Union going on, something like a memorandum of understanding, working together also on agriculture and how to improve businesses, economy side of the agriculture sector. And one of the actions that we had proposed was to have an exchange of young farmers between the EU and the African Union countries. And I don't know where that stands right now, but I'm sure we can find out if that has been implemented already or if it will be implemented. But it was part of the ideas of what you can do between the two big blocks. But then, of course, there's what you call a do-it-yourself component. So in your own country, as has been said by my colleague from Italy, you also need to get organized yourself, and you need to find out what are the possible, or where's the possible support that you can get from your local administration. How do you get in contact with the people at the regional or national level to make them understand what you need and how they can help to get you and others organized. So not everything comes top down. There's also quite a lot of work to be done on the ground. And it's the same also in Austria, where I come from. I mean, there's also farmers that organize themselves, and there's new approaches by young farmers, like working together, sharing equipment, sharing knowledge on how to do things. So there's quite a lot that you can do by yourself already, and then also try and network with others outside.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Herwig. I saw another raised hand from Richard Nelson. So if you want to go, Richard.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, I am the erstwhile country coordinator for Climate Smart Agriculture Youth Network, and I will be a will-be country coordinator for Northern Cyprus. And working in Africa as a country coordinator, I believe young people have a lot of role to play. And state actors and non-state actors have a lot to play in that, because young people are actually ready to involve in agriculture. But we cannot go forward without help. Young people need starter tools and small grants so that they will be able to push their agri-businesses going forward. Thank you. That's my submission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Richard. I think that it's a super valuable point. I don't know if someone want to add something.
Okay, this is Ibrahim Adam. Yes, thank you. This is Ibrahim Adam Ali from Somalia, and the Director General, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Southwest State of Somalia. Thanks for this huge team and this very constructive discussion. Really, it is time, because of the climate change is almost seen all over the world, and also in my country, Somalia is now suffering from a drought at the north and some other regions. So such these constructive discussions will play a great role about how and to adapt or adaptation of this and mitigation and adaptation of the climate change. So we need and to be and a continuing discussion such this, because of it is a new innovation and need is much information the communities should be reached about best ways that they can survive from. So in Somalia is also one of the countries that most is in Africa that has the greatest and agricultural area, because of it has a plenty of land. Again, it has rivers, it has a livestock and all kinds of the livestock and others. So and as my friend before was saying, was African people can't do much without or African young don't do much things without help from other resources. So that thank you for the coordination of this constructive and well appreciated meeting, and I'm greeting you the best team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Yes, I also concur on your words, and also one point that come out from the presentation of the speaker, that for example, agroecology and innovation on the field of agroecology are really an open field for the young
Good
farmers.
evening.
Yeah. Yes, please. I cannot hear you. It just finished to finish the words. I think that on that there is a great space also for young people to innovate, as Francesca was stating.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello?
I never. Yes.
How are you?
Fine. You?
Thank you so much for the discussion.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I am of the opinion that climate smart agriculture should be promoted even at the grassroots level for using a bottom-up approach, because nowadays there are a lot of other innovations in agriculture, like organic farming, agroecology, and also conservation farming. So it means that this climate smart agriculture, if not promoted strongly, it will just die a silent death. So as the youth and also stakeholders, we should work hard to promote this climate smart agriculture, because climate change is within us, and it is going to stay with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Never. Let's collect.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, Samson. Please go.
Okay. Good evening.
Yeah,
yes.
Hi.
We want to say thank you for bringing us to this. My name is Hayodele Isaac. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Ayodele Isaac. Yes, my name is Ayodele Isaac from Uganda. I am the vice chairperson of Tukatane EV NGO Africa with our headquarters in Germany. So I work together with Samson Olushi from Kenya. Our organization is based on, currently we are training some youth on agro-business, a project which we are giving them scholarship on education on agriculture. We have up to 500 youth in Congo, 400 youth in Kenya, and likewise in Zambia that we are raising training on agro-business. But our intention is that while we are training them on agro-business, number one, to use this agro reduce unemployment, empowerment, and stability. Tension is after when they are studied, we are expecting them to be empowered to see how they can be self-reliant on their own. So that is the area where we really need an encouragement and support to see how we can use agriculture as to entice the youth instead of looking for a white-collar job, because one of the major challenges in Africa right now is unemployment among the youth. And you know the security threat that we are having globally, apart from the problem of COVID, there's a security threat all over. And when the youth are not empowered, they can be influenced to do anything. So thank you. And I believe that we can share more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if the speaker or anyone from the audience want to add something. Let's collect the last intervention before closing. Okay. If there are no other intervention. I saw again Samson. Do you want to add something, Samson?
I'll not add much because much has been said.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you get me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. I'm saying that I'll not add much because much has been said. Maybe I will give for us as people who are on the platform is that we need to come up with modalities and approaches for agriculture so that agriculture will be a way that people will use for creation of employment and also empowering both women and youths globally, because this is the only area that 98% people depend on, because without agriculture, survival is not that out good. So if we work on modalities and areas that we are going to see in front of us, then we believe that both Africa and the world will feed people in the globe. Thank you.
Thank you, Samson. I think it's very important, and I think it's the meaning on why it's important also to introduce the youth, women, indigenous people rights also in the text of negotiation, because these importance states properly having farmers and the role of also vulnerable groups that are farming very covered by the text of negotiation. So thank you for your point, and there is the time for the last interaction, and then we can close. Okay, if there are no interaction, thank you very much to all. Thanks to the speakers. Oh, I see the Shakur that wants to intervene, so please.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, everyone participating for this workshop. So my name is Mohammed. I'm from Somalia. I'm from the south of government of Somalia. I'm very glad to participate for this workshop. So Somalia experienced periodic climate shocks every 4 and 5 years with flooding, cyclone, and particularly the impact of these current shocks has suffered and displacement and created increasing demand for the water and land growth and crops to feed livestock. This has even contributed to changing rainfall and battle long growing period. So in the investigators, Somalia and rural communities have been facing. So thank you.
Thank you, Abdishakur. Thank you very much, and thank you also for sharing your experience. And this call and this moment are properly interesting and useful also by the fact that we can share our experience, and also what's the meaning on why we decided to organize this meeting. As I said before, it's important to understand and know what has come from the international negotiation, from the COPs and from UNFCCC, in order to be inspired and also to put on the ground, as Herwig said, what is written on the text. So thank you for all the intervention. Thank you again for their amazing presentation, Francesca and Herwig. And I will close now the call and keep update on our channel. Thank you very much to all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.